Bernie Sanders raised his voice, Elon Musk raised a folder, and what happened next made the entire room go silent. He tried to call Elon a greedy billionaire, but one document flipped the entire debate. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because when Elon Musk steps into a debate with Bernie Sanders and turns silence into strategy, you won't believe how it ends. The National Policy and Tech Forum was supposed to be civil, but when Senator Bernie Sanders stepped onto the stage, the energy shifted. "Let's be clear," he began, voice firm, index finger in the air. "This isn't about innovation, it's about greed. About billionaires like Mr. Musk, who build rockets while people can't afford rent." The audience responded with cautious applause. Musk sat quietly on the opposite side of the stage, black suit, silver tie, a thin laptop case on his lap. He didn't flinch, didn't blink. Sanders turned toward him. "Mr. Musk, you talk about freedom and technology, but how do you define freedom when your workers are tracked by algorithm and your factories fight unions?" A few audience members clapped. Others held their breath. Musk looked up slowly, then calmly unzipped the laptop case and slid out a folder. Thick, labeled "Proof of Progress." He set it on the table without a word. But what's inside that folder might change everything Senator Sanders thought he knew about the man across from him. Musk opened the folder slowly, deliberately, like someone who knew exactly what page to start with. He pulled out a chart and handed it to the moderator, who projected it behind them. Carbon emissions versus global transport innovation, 2010 to present. The lines were unmistakable. Tesla's influence had reduced more emissions than 5 countries combined. Musk's voice was calm, calculated. "You call it greed, Senator. I call it a transition away from dependence toward autonomy." He flipped to the next sheet. "Wage growth in autonomous manufacturing, pre- versus post-union push." Sanders narrowed his eyes. Musk didn't stop. "This is real data from our Nevada and Texas factories. 18% average wage increase, 24-hour paid family leave, stock options for every full-time worker." He looked at Bernie. "We didn't wait for legislation to do that. We did it because it was right." A murmur moved through the crowd. Sanders crossed his arms. "Data is flexible, Elon. You can make numbers say anything." Musk nodded. "True, unless they say it on camera." He tapped the screen. A short video began to play. Line workers speaking about new housing stipends. Single mothers discussing on-site childcare. Robust, verified, unedited. Sanders turned slightly in his seat. The crowd watched. The moderator said nothing. But what else had Musk brought? And would the next page in that folder do more than silence? Would it transform? Sanders adjusted his glasses and leaned forward. "I'm glad you brought your charts, Mr. Musk," he said. "But let me tell you something your numbers don't measure. Dignity." Applause rippled through parts of the audience. Loud, loyal, familiar. Sanders didn't stop. "You show us lines on a screen. I walk past people sleeping on subway grates. That's the real economy, not some executive spreadsheet." He turned to the crowd. "Working families don't need PowerPoints. They need policy." Cheers now. Musk didn't react. He simply flipped to the next page in his folder, but he didn't lift it yet. Sanders smirked. "You want to fix inequality? Start by paying your taxes." Louder cheers. A few people stood. Finally, Musk raised the next sheet and held it up. "I do," he said softly. "More than anyone in American history. $11 billion in 2021 alone." Silence. He placed the paper in front of the moderator. And here's the Treasury receipt to prove it. The screen lit up. IRS confirmation, time-stamped. Even the clapping paused. Sanders sat back, his face still firm, but his fingers tapped nervously against the desk. Musk leaned slightly forward. I don't run from the system, Senator. I challenge it and still pay for it. The crowd was caught between two worlds now, but the next document Musk held wasn't about himself. It was about Sanders and what he never disclosed. Musk didn't raise his voice. He simply held up a single-page document. No colors, no graphs, just names and numbers. This, he said, is a list of federal contracts awarded to firms linked to Senator Sanders's longtime donors, over $280 million since 2015. A hush fell over the room. He continued, I don't bring this up to accuse. I bring it up to ask. When we talk about fairness, shouldn't the rules apply to everyone? The screen behind them flashed the title, Political Funding versus Policy Position Shifts, 2015-2022. Highlighted, 3 cases where Sanders changed his stance within months of donations. Sanders's jaw tensed. That's political theater, he said, voice tight. Musk calmly responded, or maybe it's just transparency. He placed the sheet down and didn't look back at the screen. I've made mistakes, he said, but I've never sold a vote. Gasps. The moderator leaned forward, but said nothing. Sanders tried to recover. You think this proves anything? People give to candidates they believe in. Musk nodded. So do my employees, but when they donate, you call it corruption. No applause, no cheers, just the sound of breath being held. But Musk wasn't done, because the next thing he showed wasn't paper. It was a video. Musk picked up the remote from the moderator's desk. Calm, no fanfare. He tapped a button. The screen behind them blinked, then faded into a simple video title, Voices You Never Let In. The clip began with a factory floor, not Tesla, but an independent robotics plant funded by Musk's Open Grants program. Then came the stories. A single mother explaining how a Musk-backed childcare credit allowed her to finish night school. A former coal miner now building EV batteries in Kentucky. A teenager on the autism spectrum who learned programming through Neuralink's education pilot. No narration, just their words. And then, a 12-year-old boy holding up a tablet. I don't care if they're billionaires or senators. If they help us build our future, I'll listen. The screen faded to black. Silence. Real silence. Sanders looked down. His hands were folded tightly, his lips pressed. Musk didn't say a word. He didn't need to. The crowd sat still, like something had just shifted. The moderator finally whispered, Senator Sanders, would you like to respond? Sanders looked up, eyes moist. Then he exhaled. But what he said next wasn't written in any speech, and it would leave the entire room in shock. Sanders looked out across the room. He didn't reach for notes. He didn't raise his voice. I've spent my life fighting for the little guy, he said. And somewhere along the way, I forgot to ask how the new generation was fighting back. He looked at Musk, not with anger, not with defeat, but with something softer. You didn't come here to protect your wealth, Sanders said. You came to protect your work. Murmurs in the audience. Musk nodded once, quietly. Sanders stood. I may not agree with your methods, he said, but I can no longer deny you your results. He walked across the stage and extended his hand. The audience erupted. No one expected it. Not applause for a victory, but for a moment of humility. Musk stood and shook his hand. Flashbulbs went off. The hashtag #ShiftNess in the room trended within minutes. Later that night, Sanders posted one line to his X account. "Disagreement is healthy. Listening is revolutionary." Musk reposted with, "Progress isn't made in silence. It's made when opposites collide and still choose to build." Now it's your turn. When you face someone who challenges your beliefs, will you argue louder or listen deeper? Share your answer in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share if you believe the future belongs to those who speak with facts and hear with courage.